there's a fantastic way for you to save for a future purchase of a home through a tax savings program.
And that's the word that everybody likes to hear, is tax savings. And that's why this program is exciting, is you can designate any account to be a first-time homebuyer savings account, to start saving for this crazy market here in Colorado, because it is intimidating to think about home prices here and what that would look like as a down payment.
Right. And the thing that just to be clear about what this program is, when we say it's a first-time homebuyer program, it's not meant for a client like you today that you're buying your first home and you're attending this webinar and interested about those kinds of things. It's more so kind of like a 529 account for your child. This program allows you to begin an investment that's earning interest tax-free. And you can go into it, and really it would be something that you start for a kid,
Yeah, or grandchild.
Grandchild, yeah, that's a great idea. Any kind of relative of yours that could, in the future, and when I'm talking about like maybe 10 years down the road, 15 years, doesn't have to be that long, it can be 5.
Yep.
But it allows these funds to be set aside and to grow interest tax-free over the life of that investment. And then once that person, whoever you've designated those funds for, is ready to use them to buy a home, they now have these dollars that have been set aside for that person. They've got a fantastic nest egg that you've really launched them into a home buying scenario where otherwise they may not be able to.
No, we both hear all the time, I really want to buy a house, I have no money saved. So this kind of, it's definitely forward thinking for your kids or your grandkids. There's a little bit more on the back end. It's not something like he said you're going to do tomorrow, but it is a really neat program. You could expedite it. The principal that you can put in is $50,000. So if you just heard about this program and your kid just started college and you're like, okay, maybe in 4 years they're going to buy a house in Colorado, you can actually put up to $14,000 a year into the account singly. Jointly, you can put in $28,000 a year. So really, within a couple years, you could have your maximum principal and just start accruing interest to have that ready for them.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And so, didn't you have a story about a rental story that was where this would be perfect?
Well, yes, I have a friend, I'm a mom, and so it's a playground friend that, their kid plays with mine. And he has been talking about buying his first home and how he doesn't have any money, but he really wants to buy it. And I keep trying to explain to him, hey, if you would have done this when I met you, 24 months ago, you would have already, the down payment is what you've paid in rent in the past year. So that scare of him not having a down payment is what I was saying, like, hey, you have a kid, why don't you start setting money aside right now? And then by the time that he's ready to buy a home, the max it can grow is $150,000. That's a pretty big down payment.
It's a huge down payment.
Like, yeah. I don't know if, unless I have a cash buyer, it's pretty rare that I have somebody putting that much money down. So the fact that it can grow to $150,000 tax-free, Colorado tax-free, is a big deal. For
sure. Yeah, it's huge, especially when you think about a lot of these financial investors that are always looking for an edge in the marketplace, and even the smallest edge, when grown over, a lengthy amount of time, even the smallest edge adds up quite quickly, right? So long as you're in it for the long haul, you do have some outs, if for some reason your 5-year-old turns out to be a complete jerk when they turn 20, and you don't want to give them you can say, okay, I'm going to liquidate this and I'll take the tax hit, at that point. But I'm hoping your kid isn't.
I don't think yours is either.
Well, so I've got a 3-year-old, and we always talk, my wife and I always talk about this, like, oh, she loves us right now. I wonder how much she's going to hate us when she's a teenager.
And then you hope they come back.
Right. Yeah. So, but it really is. And the reason why we wanted to get this out to you is it's not really well known, right? So this truly is something like a value added that I believe that you can take and use it, don't use it, but you can at least know that there's first of all, there's professionals out there looking out for you to let you know about stuff that you may otherwise not know about. But also, if you do take advantage of it and you can save some dough, fantastic.
Oh man,
huge.
I have accounts for my daughter, she's 2, and I have her college account, and then I had a real estate account, but I'm going to designate it as this account because, you know, that's the whole point of a savings account or saving for college or saving for a huge investment in someone's life is to do it over the long term. So I have a certain amount every month that goes out to, you know, this account so that by the time she is 18, which hopefully she's not buying a house and she goes and does something to further her education, but if she's ready to buy that house, that account's going to be there with a growth up to 150,000.
You know, it's funny. I just thought about this. We were talking about how $150,000, it's a huge down payment. It is a huge down payment amount, but the way that Denver real estate is growing and accelerating, it's madness. And just if you, just a quick tangent, if you were kind of wondering like why we brought this up, besides, you know, value added, tax savings, et cetera, something that I'm a very firm believer in, and it's not just opinion. I really like to look at this stuff in a very kind of clear, factual way. Denver real estate is going to continue to appreciate. And obviously, you know, the further out into the future you go, the more uncertain things are. But with demand increasing through people being able to live remotely.
Oh yeah.
People from the coasts, there's, you know, wildfires in the west, there's density problems in the eastern seaboard. Texas is getting hammered by hurricanes and floods. Awful things, but if people become mobile, more and more people are going to come to Colorado, and it really is data that's backed up by facts. This investment class is a really Denver real estate, Colorado real estate is a blue chip stock, and you know, if you can just get an edge on blue chip stock, it continues to do well, and you actually build wealth. You know, and you're talking about building wealth for generations, right? So this is a generational play. It can be a short term, like in Amber's, you know, example of having a kid that just entered college, can be a long term play. The thing I like about the long term play is just a little bit each month.
Totally.
It's not going to rock your boat, but you know, by the time, you know, 10 years from now, 15, it's going to be a big number.
I love that you said that about investing in Colorado, because it is a big deal. And he's not kidding when he says he researches this. And that's why I love working with Matt, is because he's not only a awesome ethical professional, but he backs it up with data. So, I mean, he'll send me articles on the weekend, like, hey, check this out. Like all the millennials are moving to Denver. And so it really is, we talk about it all the time. Yes, it's a home, but buying a home is an investment. And if you can give yourself an edge to get into that investment, it makes a big deal. What are some questions that we've had about this that we might be missing?
Well, the one that we kind of touched on, like getting out, like if you, let's say you're several years in and you don't feel like you can make those contributions anymore, you don't necessarily have to exit because you're not contributing every month.
Right.
But if you do decide that, you know, maybe a major medical comes up and you need the funds, something, you know, big event that requires those dollars, you exit and you pay a penalty. Right?
Just the taxes that you haven't paid on it, you would have to pay for. So another question that I get on the account is who qualifies? Well, obviously it's first-time home buyers. The other people that can qualify are if you've been divorced for 3 years and you did own a house with someone else, you actually qualify as a first-time home buyer at that point. If you inherited a house and you didn't actually buy it, you probably don't need the money, but you do qualify for that as well. And then if you are buying a house with someone and either of you is a first-time home buyer, even if the other person has owned before, you still count as first-time home buyers. So you could have that account as your down payment for that house as well.
Okay, user of the funds, I guess. So when Amber was talking about you being a first-time home buyer, it's not necessarily you, the parent or the guardian that's started up this account. It's that child, right? Or person that is using it, right? So the idea is we're getting these, you know, these funds are being set aside for a first-time home buyer. In which case, you know, now they're an adult and, you know, they may have been married or not, but that first-time home buyer status is very important. But you can see that there's a couple of like stepping stones that you can kind of go around to still fit in the box.
Yes, and that's the main thing is we talk about using it as a gift a lot because it is more of a long-term investment. but it doesn't have to be used as a gift. But if it is a gift, it can literally go to anyone. Like you can gift the account to anyone. Like you were saying earlier,
totally
if you don't like your kid anymore when they're 18, you can gift it to their best friend who actually still likes you. So there's no stipulations on who you can gift it to, which that's pretty cool too.
That's gigantic.
It does have to be in Colorado. So if your 18-year-old that you don't like decides to move to a coast, you obviously can't use it in another state. So it is limited to Colorado because it's the Colorado tax savings. We do have a question. How do I get started? So it's actually pretty easy. If you have an account currently set up somewhere, money market, stock, anything, it applies to any type of interest account. You can designate it as a first-time homebuyer savings account. You just have to talk to your tax professional, whoever's managing that account for you. Every year, you do have to submit the form. I've uploaded it already into the chat. It's the DR0350 Colorado State form that you do have to submit with your taxes. So you are getting that tax-free rebate on the account year after year. So that's how you get started. I mean, I would talk to a financial planner or somebody that you trust that can give you insight as to which account might work the best for you. If it's more of a short-term first-time buyer savings account and you're looking at like 5 years, you're probably going to want it in a more aggressive account than if you're waiting, 18 years like Matt and I are with our kids. So it's definitely something that you want to talk to someone with a finer tune on that.
And I'm going to jump in right there.
Yeah.
Something that we may be just assuming that everybody knows, but this account, it grows in any kind of investment account. It's not relegated to okay, you're going to do this first-time savings plan, first-time homebuyer savings plan, and you just put it in your first-time homebuyer savings plan account. You get like one stock. You have the option to invest in anything.
Yes.
If you think Bitcoin is going to go crazy and you want to invest in that, you can do that. You just have to go through the right channels that Amber mentioned, and also the thing to remember is that the yearly renewal, right? So you have to be on top of that.
You have to submit it every year with your taxes.
Right.
Really, at the end of it, it's pretty easy. I mean, if the account does grow to 150,000 and you're closing on your house and here's this 150,000 for your home, all you have to do to finish the process, if you will, is submit your settlement statement to the government, to Colorado. And then that's it. That's all. It's that easy. So
love it.
It really is so
awesome.
easy. We are not, of course, I mean, we didn't create the program. The Colorado Association of Realtors did create the program, which is pretty cool, and I'm pretty invested with them. We are by no means the end-all be-all expert. So if you do have other questions, you can come to us, and if we don't have the answers to them, we will point you in the right direction. Our contact information is in the chat box. Matt, Amber.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming by and stopping in to learn something new.
Yes.
It's always good to learn something new, right?
Learn something new and try to get an edge any way you can.
That's right.
Well, thanks again for joining us.